I will say one thing with the character design of Japanese Godzilla and American Godzilla. Japanese Godzilla looks a lot more grittier and less shiny. That's my Chase Yaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing Godzilla -1. What's about? Pretty simple premise. We're at the very tail end of World War II. There's a kamikaze pilot, and he lands at an island. He's like, you know what? My plane's busted, but it's really not busted because he wants to live. But while on that island, Godzilla comes. And he's not like the big Godzilla. He's more of like a normal-ish size Godzilla, but the more damage he takes, the more damage, the bigger he gets, and the more hectic it gets. And it just gets bigger and bigger. And now throughout this movie, we're watching Godzilla grow, as well as this guy have PTSD and realizes he wants to live or die because there's a lot of new people in his life. So, did I like this film? Awesome. I liked it. I thought it was really, really good. I can see how some people might not like it, especially someone to the next to me that was falling asleep. But we'll talk about that and why. So, let's talk about the 4DX first. Alright, this isn't like a chaotic, like, oh my god, shit is going everywhere. Yeah, it's doing that when you're actually battling Godzilla, but there's a lot of slow movements like when you're rocking on the boat. It's very much like this. It's a very consistent circle. And some people might find that soothing and maybe might fall asleep because of it. Because it's literally like this the whole time. And you're like, oh, I am on a boat. Or am I on a boat? Because I've been on plenty of boats. I've been on ski boats, pontoon boats, cruise ships. And of course, some of them you do feel like this. But a lot of the movie is like this, and you got to realize, oh, do I like this or do I not like this? But then all of a sudden, right, it might stop like this because a lot of talk is happening. But then when Godzilla is going click, 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 about to shoot that freaking laser out of his mouth, it's like, boom, and you're like, and you're like, damn, okay, that is literally shooting me out of a cannon a million miles a second. You're like, okay, I can dig it. I can completely dig it. So overall, 4DX. It's consistent. It's solid enough for the viewing, in my opinion. For this movie, it's good. It is really good. I like it. It has very different levels of enjoyment compared to the American version. When you compare this to, I don't know, the Garth Evans Godzilla or the Godzilla vs. King Kong, those are more of like CGI porn fests where you're just like, oh, we're going to battle, nonstop battle, and the story's very minimal. Here, you try to develop these human characters. And some people didn't like the 2014 Godzilla with Aaron Taylor-Joy, or not Aaron Johnson, as well as why am I drawing a freaking blank? Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Yeah, I enjoyed that one because of the human elements while they're in Hawaii. This is the same one. You get to know these characters of like, why is this guy struggling? Why is she struggling? Who are these side characters? What are they trying to do to defeat Godzilla? Because it is some craziness that is happening when that is occurring. Like I said, this story is fleshed out. And like I said, some people might expect this to be a nonstop action movie because, let's be honest, the trailers did seem that way, where you're like, shit's going down, boats are flying, buildings are coming down, and shenanigans is ensuing. Don't expect that throughout the whole movie. I would say that's happening for about 30 to 40 minutes of this 2-hour movie. So yes, there is a lot of talking in this movie, and I'm getting to know these people. And I enjoyed it. I didn't mind it. There's some human connection. I need human connection. And that's why some people don't like the Transformers movies. Like, why is Mark Wahlberg or Shia LaBeouf in it? I need that human connection. I just do. Okay? I'm so sorry. But okay. So let's talk about the actual positives. I'd say the negative is it could feel a little bit slow in some scenes. And sometimes you're like, I like Godzilla and I want Godzilla to show up. I really, really do. But then when you come to the positives, the sound design, the score, the look of Godzilla, and how they decided to do it was really freaking sweet. Especially the scene underwater where you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then also the nice camera angles of when he's destroying the city and just things you probably never seen before in a Godzilla movie, like when he smacks the ground, the concrete caves. Like, okay, that makes sense. Or like when half the building goes down, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Stuff like that where you don't realize that you haven't seen other movies before. You're like, oh, I'm just used to just consistent bang, bang, bang. Not like, oh, let's split this in half and do cool stuff like that. But also in the water, the eyes. The eyes are so stationary and crazy looking that you're like, oh, this is kind of creepy, but cool at the same time. There's a badass scene when he's swimming in the water, and it's like you call it a crocodile or something, just ready to get its prey. And how it looks is fantastic. The CGI and the character design, like I said, of Godzilla is so freaking sweet. You're just like chef's kiss on the design of that. It ain't no like Shin Godzilla where it's like a worm that turns to like a creepy like metaphor, if you want to put it that way. This could be a metaphor because there is a lot of political dialogue in this movie about World War II and what Japan expected from its civilians. Like, you know what? We don't have the best ships, we don't have the best planes, but we expect you to die and not really come back home. And that's really what it was. And that was even a storyline where a girl's like, how come you didn't commit suicide? Basically, like, that is your job, to commit suicide and kill your enemy, not try to come home. And you just think, damn, that's actually kind of crazy the more you think about it, where that's how some countries fought. Like, well, I'm never going to see you again, mom, dad, brother, sister. Peace. So yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, in the score is haunting, it's pounding, and it's absolutely bonkers. So overall, Godzilla -1. Why is it called -1? I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. Like, I could be like, oh, it's because of this reason. I really don't know why it's called -1. Maybe because Godzilla is minusing one less off the Earth. I don't know. I really don't freaking know. But anyway, I enjoyed it. But again, I can see how some people might be bored with this movie because they're expecting a bombastic spectacle of shenanigans and doings, like an American version. No, this is not it. This is a Shin Godzilla. This is kind of a Shin Ultraman. Don't expect bombasticness happening. But with that, you'll get some great sound design, some great 4DX action, some great character design that just looks really good and haunting, some good, like, memorable shots. I mean, some shots in this movie that, like I said, are double chef's kiss. But I think majority of the people will like it, but there are going to be some normies that don't. Just my opinion, though! Godzilla -1 will receive a 4 out of 5 with Futons, which equals that 80%. Let's see what the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have critics a 98% with 48 of them. Audience score 98% with over 100. Critic consensus. With engaging human stories anchoring the action, Godzilla -1 is a Kaiji movie that remains truly compelling between the scenes of mass destruction. Absolutely. Like I said, I had a blast. If this comes out on DVD, I will buy it because I did have a good time with it overall. I am curious. There's 47 fresh and 1 rotten. The 1 rotten's a YouTuber. YouTubers. Gross. Anyway, a lot of 9 out of 10s, 3.5 out of 5s, B pluses, 3.5 out of 4s, 3 out of 4s. So yeah, overall, excellent movie. I highly recommend it. But you're like, why not going to give it a 90 or 100? Like I said, there were some scenes where I'm like, the pacing was a little bit, little off, but it's still an enjoyable freaking film. And that's what you get for going by 10s instead of 5s. You know what I mean, right? Anyway, 80, 98s. Chase Sasaki here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know things Futontopia. You Blue Futons can go to a great day. I can watch this tape tomorrow, week from now, month from now, year from now. Every single freaking one of you. Enjoy life. Enjoy this movie, because I'm pretty sure you will.